5, 4. Bye 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hi, welcome to City Talk and City Walk. And this segment, we have very exciting topic on healthy aging. What goes into the making of not millennials but centennials? And according to the recent research findings, we can all reach 100 if we go through the pathway of healthy aging. So, how do we ensure that we are on the right path to healthy aging? Well, I have two very interesting guests. They're actually in the senior years. And if we base it on WHO, the latest World Health Organization's age categorization, they're just in their seniors, and I am in the middle age level. Well, that's very encouraging, isn't it? So, without much ado, let me introduce to you our guests here on studio. First, on my left is Dr. Flor Angel Rosario Braid. She is just one of the original framers of the 1987 Constitution. And at age 85, a little above, she remains very active in society, being a columnist of the Manila Daily Bulletin, and still an active ex-chair, or I think she's still chair of the Asian Institute of Journalism and Communication, and very much a presence in so many other social action groups. And with her is another senior, a lawyer, and in fact, her sister. And they're visiting Negros in their search for healthy aging, or not search, but in their course of going through healthy aging. So welcome to the show, Flor, Dr. Braid, and Lynn, Attorney Lynn. Alberto, Flor Angel Braid. So what brings you here to Bacolod on this sunny day?
Well, to seek the fountain of youth. I heard that you are in, activities that promote, healthy aging, like your holistic medicine or holistic approach to aging, and setting up this, converting this spring into a hub of for rejuvenation, and advocate of organic farming and herbal farming. So you are now the Miss Herbal Farmer of Negros. No? I wish I had done that, because that was my original intent, but things didn't happen. So I had to visit you in order to be able to encourage to try.
Yeah, and Lynn, you look superb. You're a real beauty at age. I don't think you don't mind my also in the 80s, but
84.
yeah, but you two look like you're in your 60s.
Oh, well.
So Lynn,
I came as an accidental tourist. I just went through a procedure called colonoscopy, because, and then when I heard that Flor was coming over, she said, "Why don't you join me?" So I jumped at the chance, and I'm very glad to have met you. I have to return that compliment, because you're stunning. I love your whole look. You look fabulous.
Oh.
So,
well, talk about healthy aging, and what keeps you mentally alert and able to engage in meaningful discourse at your age?
you
Well, painting, And
Oh,
writing, yes. I think that.
I didn't hear you were painting when you were very active as president and
know.
chairman of AI, Asian Institute of
Yes,
Journalism
I
and
know.
Communication.
I took some courses under Manuel Rodriguez Sr. Several moons ago when I was 25.
Uh-huh.
I started with pastel
Yeah,
painting. No?
pastel.
And lo and behold, I kept those, about 12 of them, and they are still intact. No?
Mm-hmm.
No damage, no aging. So I was surprised, but that in between the years, as you know, I was in another field,
Super active.
development. Huh?
Super active in
Yes,
media.
in many ideas, and for a time, I was very involved in the arts and culture in the early days.
You
Like I
deserve.
would frequent art exhibits, poetry reading, drama,
Mm-hmm.
all sorts of artistic and cultural affairs. But
And of course, you ran for the Senate.
huh?
You ran for the Senate.
Also, no, that was
And
that
not
was my
only
other
that,
life.
you were a very active member of the 1987
Yes,
Constitutional
yes.
Convention and
Commission.
Commission, and you actually were one of the writers
Yes,
of
yes.
this Constitution, which is now being attacked.
Yeah, it's now being discarded.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I think it will not. I mean, I think it looks like it will remain that the president normally, I mean, he listens to the people, and I think since he knows that the popular sentiment is no change, no cha-cha, no federalism too. I think
yeah.
he will eventually. You remember that during the SONA, he did not push federalism and cha-cha, as he normally does with his favorite advocacies.
In that sense, despite the very strong criticism against his autocratic ways and what's happening to our society, I think there's a positive note in that we have space for dissent. And social media plays a very critical role here because the netizens actively post or make their views known through Instagram, Facebook, and the like. So I think in this sense, we can say that there is hope. And as you said, at the start, several months ago, they were under Alvarez, they were cocksure they're going to do away with the Constitution and push federalism.
And all of a sudden.
Yeah. You're a lawyer, Lynn.
No.
What are your reflections on this in your autumn years?
Well, in my autumn years, I didn't really get into active practice, but I'm very, very concerned about what's happening now. Right now, we are in the middle of dissension from forces that beyond our control. But I hopefully, with what you are saying now, that there is an activism from several ends, and I'd like to still live to the day when I see that something happens towards that end.
Yeah, and I think this is one element in healthy aging, and that is never to give up on discourse,
Yes.
on carrying meaningful exchanges.
Yes.
Because if you observe, among those seniors who opt for a passive life, passive in terms of just watching, forever surfing cable TV, or spending more time on Netflix than interaction, and being hooked into this Korean telenovela, and that can take hours and hours of your
Mea
time.
culpa. Sometimes I get into that.
Yeah.
Because of my,
Yeah.
I'm physically incapacitated, so most of the time, aside from reading and doing crosswords, I try to develop a healthy lifestyle in terms of diet. So I guess I'm into that direction. But of course, I get into very interesting discourse with my sister here, who's very elucidated.
Yeah, you cannot help but be engaged in
Yes,
discourse
yes,
with
I'm so-
Flora around
Yes,
you.
I'm stuck with her, so I have to exchange.
Yeah.
Not necessarily pleasantries, sometimes unpleasant news,
Yeah.
which is so, I am, but I'm a Pollyanna, I'm a glad girl. So I try to look at the brighter side of things despite and in spite.
You both work with government at certain stages of your
Certain
life.
stage,
And I understand you were with the censor, MTR
Yeah, I was with
CB.
the MTR CB sometime in the 90s. And, and the
Is that
different-
really a force to reckon with in our society? Look at the quality of movies we're getting now.
Yeah, during my time, we're now in 2018. I was there during the middle 90s, and we were really rigid critics. So sometimes I got into squabbles with producers and directors when we adhere very strictly to the rules and regulations that was then, no? But those were glorious times because we were challenged by movies. This is when they were starting the, not necessarily bomba. This is during uh, Armida's time when she came up with the start of this ligaya. Itawag mo sa akin, And I was one of those who really dissented and X the movie, but she raised it to the appeals board. And then we had a very serious discussion about how to go about that. We have to be quite liberal in some aspects, but we have to put a stand against
Absolutes.
Absolute,
Moral,
yes.
moral absolutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was those times. Now these are different times. So we have to roll with the punches, so to speak.
And Flora, how was it like, excuse me, working with legal luminaries like the Ateneo de Manila constitutional expert Bernas,
Yes.
and then
Ascuna.
Chief Hilario Davide.
Yes.
These are all
Yeah. Yeah. Right now, Father Bernas, he's my age, by the way.
Is he
he's
still alive?
ailing, yes. And
but he's been quiet.
because he's not too well, but he's still, mentally active,
Alert.
Well, you know the Chief Justice Davide, former Chief Justice, has been very articulate and very candid about his views about Cha-Cha and federalism, as you know, that it's like Cha-Cha and federalism it's like going to hell.
Strong
And so he has, I think he has articulated the sentiments of the opposition very well. Right now, I think that, well, many of these arguments, which I share, I've said this too. In fact, some of our arguments, we have put them together individually as we meet from time to time. And we feel that, to recap some of the objections against federalism, and Cha-Cha, the time is not right. I may support federalism sometime. In fact, I was one of the 6 supporters of federalism during the drafting of the
Yeah.
1987.
Yeah.
We thought it was a good, it was more people-oriented and more community-oriented, of course. But then, over time, but it needs a leader who is credible, trustworthy.
Yeah.
So the time is not ripe because we don't trust our leaders,
Precisely.
So I think that's the main argument,
Negros is strongly federalist country, and I was for federalism. I lived in Canada for a time and saw how well it worked.
Yeah.
But like you, I cannot entrust this radical change in our system of governance into the hands of the likes of what, our congressman now, headed by somebody who was never punished for her
Yes.
conviction. She was convicted really in
Yes,
court, right?
yes.
Tried and found out to be guilty of corruption, massive graft and corruption. So, but let's just discuss just the more blatant or the more negative things about federalism as it applies to our cultural, socio-political cultural
Yeah.
context.
Yes.
For example, Negros will do well under federalism. The two
Even
provinces, Oriental and
Yes.
Occidental, because we have a very strong civil society here.
And
Very
also more
articulate.
resources.
We have more resources. We have more fertile lands. We have more land, so to speak.
Yes. Yes.
But considering other islands like
Yeah.
Mimaropa,
Yeah.
Mindoro is a little okay, but Marinduque,
Central
Masbate, Romblon, Catanduanes. What do you think, Flor?
Yes, I agree with you, no? In fact, that's one main argument that we, right now, federalism thrives when the regions are more or less equal, in terms
Yeah.
of quality of leadership, no? As we know, we don't have enough local leaders who can, ensure its sustainability and resources. Now, the expectation of the drafters, the consultative committees, that the richer regions like Negros and Cebu would help the poorer regions, but that doesn't happen in real life.
Yeah.
No? It's not practical.
Kanya-kanya.
Kanya-kanya, no? It's still a Filipino culture. So there's no culture fit. No?
Yeah.
Second, it would cost so much,
Precisely.
When we were testifying in the Senate, we had an expert with us, Dr. Mananzan from the PDI, Philippine
Rosario,
Development Institute, who did a study of the cost of shifting to federalism, and she cited something like 900
Billion.
million,
Billion.
billion. But when the Department of Finance, the finance minister, and also the minister and the NEDA computed, they found that it's twice more, So it's really, really expensive. More bureaucrats, more
Layers of
institutions,
judges.
the various tiers, So it won't work, We will be forever indebted, A
Yeah.
large foreign debt,
Yeah.
So it's not practical in the sense, So the issue of trust, the issue of practicality, financial capability, the issue of, again, having, as you know, 4 high courts,
Yeah.
Yes. I agree with the Constitutional Court. I've always argued. Maybe we could accommodate one Supreme Court and the Constitutional Court, but not the two other courts, because it would be, again, very expensive. It means creating or hiring more
Bureaucratic layers.
bureaucrats. So but I have to also be fair. That I've read the federal constitution over and over, and there are many good points.
The draft now,
In the draft now, there are many
under
good
the leadership of Puno.
Yes. I saw his hand there, and I feel that it should be set aside for a while, but not discarded. At that, when we get into better times, it could be implemented, except for those, of course, that we object to. But like for example, they made improvements in the 1987 Constitution.
Well, the 1987 Constitution really
Was
had
general,
several
but-
flaws.
Yes,
And one
but
of
it
which
was
is
well-meaning,
ambiguity.
Yeah, yeah. But they had, for example, the political dynasties.
Yeah.
They defined it, which is good. We left it to Congress. We had more than 150 provisions which says you leave it to Congress, which will implement. But then you know that you can't expect
Yeah.
Congress to implement the political dynasty. Two, also with strengthening political parties. I like that.
We never
provision.
really had political parties. No ideology. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a political party.
Yeah.
End. Period.
Yeah.
We like, unlike Canada
Yeah.
or let's say Germany, if you're a social
Yeah.
democrat, you do have politicization,
Yeah.
and those who become social democrats go through a process of
Yeah.
inculturation into
Yeah.
that mindset about social democracy. Whereas here, nationalista, KBL, it's so easy to shift to be a political butterfly.
Right
But,
now they
yeah.
are joining forces now under this
Sa-
dispensation.
Sara Duterte.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's so easy for a person like Sara Duterte to put up a political party because it is not a political party. It's just alliances.
Alliance. And it's
Literally,
regional.
It means it's just aggregation.
Yeah, aggregation. Yeah.
That's what it means, really.
And we social scientists have been saying that since so many decades ago, under these German foundations, Ebert Stiftung,
Stiftung.
Yeah.
yeah, Stiftung.
Friedrich.
So and we I've heard that since 1990s that what we need is genuine political education and creation of genuine political parties, but it has never taken root.
No, it has not, because of the political dynasties they want to rule out. So until we're able to define the political dynasty, I mean, provide limits to dynasties now. They are all over Congress, Senate,
Right, I
and
think you can
and it's just a
totally-
They're
regodon.
back with
With a
full
vengeance.
force, with a
They're
vengeance.
vengeance.
But then again, as an anthropologist, you see, we have never, as a people, outgrown primordial attachments. We think in clan terms. And I saw it among the Mangyas as well. They call it kaiban, kaufud, based on kinship and quasi-kinship ties, either by blood or by compadrazgo. And the loyalty is to that small group, which is pitted against other groups. And therefore, there is no real social cohesion. Again, there's also the ecology, We are 7,100 islands, let's say about 4,500 islands habitable. And so how can you really create a strong federal state?
Yes.
Extended relatives,
Yeah.
not necessarily by consanguinity, so
A final, like now Duterte and Carpio.
So
Yeah. So, where do we go? where to? I think that right now, I think they will try to campaign for federalism, but I think that the media and other advocates should give an alternative, provide an alternative now to.
Look, we have this local government code, and with the passage of the Bangsa Organic Law, we're addressing that concern of autonomy and use of indigenous resources for the given people in that region. So I think you said it well. We are not throwing out federalism, but it's just not the right time because we're living in dangerous times.
Dangerous times.
these are all grandiose plans,
Yeah.
and really, when you
Yeah.
look deeply into the
Yeah.
federal
Yeah.
system, which she said she looked very carefully into it. But are these grandiose plans doable?
Yeah.
You know,
The situation we are
I
in
think
now?
the main problem now, and which we have to face, whether in terms of charter chains or strengthening local autonomy or whatever reforms, would be the the widening of disparities. It's
Yes.
continuing, and until you're able to address the gaps, the social economic gaps, will never get anywhere. And I think it is the oligarchy and the concentration of power and privilege in the hands of the few. So that to me is the main problem. And so it also means looking at the kind of framework for governance that would not be based on too liberal democracy. I think what we have done with democracy is make it so open and
Yeah.
that there had and that government has weakened really. So when we say we have a strong leader, that's not the kind of strength we wanted. We wanted a strong leader.
We don't want an autocrat or a tyrant.
Yes. And
Should
we
be
don't want also, we had
participatory,
to
you know,
define
that's what
social
we're gonna have.
justice in terms of not dole outs and cash transfers, but in terms of strengthening the regulatory systems that will ensure a level playing field.
Yeah.
And so the talented young men and women can compete equally, So
I
that
think we have that. It's emerging, and we have
Yes.
an emerging middle class, especially with the OFW phenomenon. But talk about oligarchy. There is a new Duterte-garchy, and
Yeah.
this is regionally based. So you have look at the pattern in appointing strategic people in authority and governance. They're all from Mindanao.
yes.
It is really by design, but they're not necessarily qualified. But at the same time, privileges. And I know if you have a personal tie with Duterte, regardless of what he publicly
San
says,
Beda.
it's so easy to get contracts, to get. I know in
Extra.
Bacolod, for example, there are those who would say, okay, we have direct line with Duterte and Malacanang, and you can get that land can be bought easily for drug rehab, and then there are layers of overprice.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Yes.
There is a new. You talk about Marcos cronies. Now it's Duterte cronies.
That's
Look
true.
at the okay. Some of them are our fellow PSSC, Philippine Social Scientists
our
members.
colleagues,
Okay, they're Ben Jokno, but the families they represent, even who is this finance secretary
Dominguez.
they're all Mindanao, and they're
Yes,
all into
yes.
huge agribusiness,
Yes.
real estate development companies.
right.
So it's the same pattern. I only wish, look at Malaysia. I specialize in Southeast Asian studies. And despite, for example, Mahathir, at 93, back.
Andyan siya.
Yeah.
He's back with the
He
vengeance.
is back with the vengeance, but really needed at this point. Because Najib was really the
Something
ultimate
else.
corrupt leader. But it's easy for them to flow into this because of the way the system that has been set in place.
And they have resources.
Yeah.
They have
That are-
resources. We have resources. We're the
Oh.
second most mineralized country in the world.
Yeah.
But you see,
Displeased.
Duterte has sold
We
us
have
out to
given
the
We have
Chinese.
given it to the foreigners.
Yes,
Yeah, even
given,
the mining industry has.
And that's why it's so dangerous to open the Constitution now to amendment, because I'm sure one of the key things that they will weave in is removing that protective clause against
Yes.
foreigners owning
Yes.
or
So-
being free to directly buy Philippine lands.
So I'll have to say that's one of the
That's-
good things about the charter that they drafted, that they maintain there's those those
Sovereignty.
provisions
So
about
they maintained it.
Yes, 60/40.
64.
Because they want to open it all up to the foreigners. Not until really we become strong and we can compete. So these are, yeah. So I think maybe this is where we're going, but there are many dangers that lurk around us yet. No.
Okay, so the issue that I want to also tackle with now is how come within our constitution or our system, the likes of GMA already convicted escape punishment because of superb acting. You can tell the neck brace immediately disappeared upon pardon. Why don't we have a system of governance like South Korea, where even the prime minister
Yes.
was
Can be given-
convicted and is in
given
jail
a-
now?
Yeah.
Don't we have that in the Constitution?
Extended life sentence.
Yeah, because I think it's in the Constitution where if you run for office, if you're a congressman or a senator, you have that immunity. Is it a constitutional provision that even if you're convicted, the likes of Gwen Garcia,
Yeah.
former governor of Cebu, who it was, I really would sit each time I see her really ganging up against ex-Chief Justice Sereno.
Sereno.
When you know that she was convicted of 100 million peso
Yes.
graft,
Yes. Yes.
and they have the temerity, the sense of
Sense
righteousness.
of entitlement.
Yeah, entitlement.
Entitlement is the word.
But
Most of these.
is that a constitutional provision?
No. Well, the Constitution is silent on that, and I think we should remember that should be addressed.
Yeah.
I
There
agree with
are
you.
many
The
areas
South
that
Korean example is
it's very
it should
noteworthy.
be noteworthy. Yes.
So, I think these are the areas we know what the country needs at this time, and we know the gaps, and they have to be addressed. Sure.
So somehow the consensus is we do need amendments in the Constitution, but it is not the time. We are living through dangerous times, and there are other avenues to relieve or somehow address concerns like the local government code
Yes.
and basic organic law of
From
the
my
Muslims.
vantage
Yeah.
point,
And-
the most important issue to address is the poverty alleviation. To me,
yeah,
as
yeah.
as a mother, as a grandmother, I look at the future as rather bleak if we go into some ideas that are not really going to. The first issue to address is poverty alleviation from my end.
Talk about poverty. I think one of the major factors really, other than what has been identified as social inequity,
Yes, disparity
the
between-
oligarchs, but you do know that you were involved in this. Given for persistent poverty in our nation is overpopulation. I have seen this in our farm.
Yeah.
Where the average household
Yeah.
house size is 5 to 6, okay? And no matter if you pay them the minimum wage, it will not just be enough for 7 mouths, And each year, the mother would give birth. And we used to have a strong birth control program. Reproductive program, okay? But the church, the Roman Catholic Church, made a strong stand against this, and somehow whatever the population movement, we had that, right?
Yeah.
And it was so organized. But do you know now, let me give you an example. I have one household that I've been trying to help. Each year, the wife gives birth. And so finally, I told the husband, look, you either go for vasectomy,
Vasectomy,
or your wife goes through ligation, because no matter how we address your financial concerns,
Even how
With-
hard you work.
yeah, I said, you know, the bibingka example of FB
Yes,
Ramos. I
yes.
said, look, or the dying. You have one piece of dying, o bangus. Okay, you cut it up. If you are
Divisible.
4, you cut it up into 4 equal parts. If you're 7, what? And he agreed. He agreed. And we brought him, and we convinced other men in the farm. But the problem is the provincial government and our government does
And
not
that's
have
supportive.
any rational, functioning birth control program in place now.
Exactly.
It's not even in the radar of government officials. And doctors themselves have somehow been conditioned to think, no, I'm Catholic, I will not perform ligation. And the governor, in this case, the funding for government hospitals have been
Cut.
significantly cut.
Yeah.
Nurses are overworked, and the doctor who was willing to perform it for free during his, time at the provincial hospital cannot do it because there's no nurse to assist. Or for ligation, I said, why not do it when she gives birth to the next child?
sad.
I said, no, I'm Catholic, I will not do that. There's no
Yeah.
provision. So nobody has raised hell against this because Salas has long
Gone.
Rafael Salas, who was one of the,
Yeah.
he was the key advocate, right?
Yeah.
So
Buying salas.
what
Yes.
do you say? I think AIJC
She was-
should campaign.
No, she was
No,
at
no,
the helm of
I
the
remember.
population
I know.
control in Hawaii.
You know, I spent 2.5 years in Sri Lanka on the project on the population, and we had a program that merited an award for being, because it was very
For Sri Lanka.
multi-sectoral, yeah.
Yeah.
And they were
Because your
open.
husband was,
Yeah, my husband was there, but he was in the different agriculture. I was in the population. But the program was multi-sectoral in the sense that we involved labor, we involved agriculture and health, of course, and education. So that has to be done rather than just having a direct health family planning direct. It has to be integrated in the entire, all the sectors.
yeah. So what can we do now? I think this is I should pick this up as one of my urgent advocacy because I'm encountering it. I am grassroots based, unlike a sociologist who views things from the top. I'm an anthropologist who works her way out
From below.
From
subsoil
below.
upwards.
Yeah, it's an emic view. And I see all the dynamics. Unless we address the population program, we will just,
Yeah.
our resources, like in our farm, I said, okay, we have had to make a choice. If you marry and you are the woman, you go with the male and let the male bring you to his own village, not to have these appendages, because from a family of 10, in no time, it will be a whole purok and then
Yeah.
a barangay.
Sad to say, but times were different during my time. I got married as soon as I passed the bar. I gave birth to 7 children and 16 grandchildren. So I'm not, I'm not saying, but these were the
Yeah, I
times
agree.
I was in, no. But you see, people now, the ones at the top, they have no sense of urgency in solving this problem.
No reason or rhyme now
No
under
rhyme or
Duterte.
reason.
I mean, I don't know how
This has never
many
been.
credible. Okay, Ernie Pernea, doctor, he is our colleague.
Yeah, he's
He is good.
population expert.
But
We,
it's
we
not in
should
that
we should
department.
we should make a call and let him and say, hey, we weave this in the development planning. I don't hear it or nor read about population being an issue.
Suddenly population.
Wala
is
na,
coming. I
wala na
haven't-
talaga.
I haven't.
Well, he's caught in the that was his main advocacy when before he became secretary,
Yeah,
This is
Ernie
the root
Pernia.
cause of poverty. We are really overpopulated.
I see it. I see it.
Teeming.
And with environmental degradation,
Yes.
Exactly.
it's really on a scale of 1 to 10 real. 10 now for the Philippines. We are the third largest producer of plastics and garbage
Yes,
that
yes.
that are destroying
Yeah.
the ocean and the
Wasn't that
seas.
too obvious during the flood in Manila Bay?
Oh, yeah.
All the plastics surfaced.
And El Nido, that
Too.
pristine,
They thought it
all,
was pristine. And,
yeah.
And so,
So,
Not an
yeah.
island was spared. Not an island was spared with all this backlash of garbage. And
Debris.
again, we should, friends, do something about our plastics and our garbage. And so, at the autumn of your lives, how can you then synchronize or in fact put together healthy aging and being a vital part of part of a living organism rather than a dead cell being a live cell, engendering the multiplication of good cells. I'm using different analogies.
Yeah. Well, if all seniors make a commitment in terms of use, being environmental friendly, in other words, avoiding plastics and all those that destroy the environment, and just extend this advocacy to their families, children, grandchildren. So if each
Like you,
one
Lynn?
can make,
Yes.
yeah.
Multiply it. Your
Yes.
I'm sure you have great grandchildren now.
Yes.
yeah,
yes.
I have one.
And if
16.
that could be, if we can persuade seniors to be the main advocate, because essentially we're still a society where grandmothers are still
elders have a say.
elders, not so much like the Koreans, but
Yeah.
we're still heard.
Okay, so your last word, Lynn. What have you to say about the range of issues we've tackled in this barely an hour?
I'm at the twilight of my years, so to speak. I'm already in the boarding, but I really want to impart this message to all and sundry for us to really, love our country. We have to see to it that we will all put our act together to make our country a better place to live in. And hopefully, we wish everybody good luck and good health.
Well, yeah, we have discussed what can be done at the individual level. Now, at the policy level, there are still some gaps. I would like to do that the Philippines adopt constitutional amendments that would give nature its right, the environmental rights of not our rights to to protect nature, but for the rights of trees, the rights of rivers, and when we do that, we reverse it. Then I think that would be the beginning of better, all these problems we have thought of, pollution and degradation would be solved, addressed. So rights of nature, Ecuador and several Latin American countries and even some parts of the U.S. have been adopting very strong legislation on rights of nature. They have rights. All our rivers, trees, forests have rights. So that's a missing gap, and that's a missing component of our policies. And also, continue implementing. We know the implications of all this, that climate change, and we have to support some of the legislation supporting Chinese climate change because we face these threats daily. No? So this is what we can do now, right now.
Friends, you've seen how a triad of seniors, I'm also in my senior year now, although the younger senior level, but you can see how we can just be ignited, be actively involved. And that's one of the key things in healthy aging. Never say never to being an active member of your community. First, start with your family, be an influencer, as Lynn said. And that can be multiplied 3 times if you already have great-grandchildren. And then imagine your extent of social network, your kapurok, church mates, and if you're a member of clubs, you do have a wide network. But never, never opt to be alone in your air-conditioned room and be addicted to Korean telenovelas, to Netflix, to Facebook. These are all the booby traps for us as we go on through our senior years.
Yes.
Thank you for being with us. City Talk, City Walk. We'll see you again next week. And this is your program host, Violeta Lopez Gonzaga, bidding you goodbye for now, but I'll see you again. God bless you.
Yeah.